A remote club in the fourth tier of Swedish football was not the ideal starting point for an aspiring manager, but Graham Potter was just grateful for the opportunity. It was a leap into the unknown and he could have sunk without a trace. Instead, Potter guided Ostersunds FK to 3 promotions in 5 seasons, followed by the first major trophy and a spot in the Europa League. His prospects were transformed beyond recognition. Bergqvist, a young defender who had lost his way in the English system, had his career revived by Potter after leaving Exeter in February 2014. I didn't really feel like I was getting my due. The first conversation I had with Graham, he basically sold me the dream. They were in the second tier and maybe it was far-fetched, but it all came true, said Bergqvist. I don't think it will be replicated in Swedish football, especially of that magnitude and how quickly it all went. Bergqvist was one of several players who had grown disillusioned with the lack of progress. Embracing the possibility of a fresh start in Sweden, Potter made them feel valued in a way others hadn't. A lot of us were lost, doubted, rejects. We loved a turnaround story and changing people for the better. He's someone who changed not just my football career, but my life. I became more mature and a respectful human being. He cared more about you as a person than your football skills. Thoughtful and compassionate, Potter helped to create a supportive culture in Ostersund, where people were encouraged to be open and with each other. It was a stark contrast to the mentality of the old-fashioned English dressing room. Moving away from home, some things were difficult off the pitch, the 28-year-old explained. He was very big on helping the mental side of the game. It wasn't talked about as much then as it is nowadays. It helped me and a lot of the other boys. We had a very good environment. No matter how good you were as a footballer, if you didn't fit into the group, then he found a different solution for you. No player was bigger than the team. Bergqvist forged a close relationship with Potter and they stayed in touch. At the end of his second season with the club, Ostersunds won promotion to the top division for the first time. They weren't overawed and continued playing on the front foot, controlling games against teams with much greater resources. In April 2017, they won the Swedish Cup. We played a very possession-based type of football, very methodical and forward-thinking. It was high risk but high reward, said Bergqvist. He was just 2 or 3 or 4 steps ahead. We always knew what the opposition were going to do. We played different systems and were able to change personnel. He was a tactical genius. Ostersund shot to prominence with their run to the last 32 of the Europa League, which included positive results against Galatasaray, Hertha Berlin and Atletico Bilbao. They were eventually knocked out by Arsenal despite winning 2-1 at the Emirates Stadium. That summer, Potter took over at Swansea City, which were looking to rebuild on their return to the Championship. He was still relatively unknown in the UK, quickly won over the players. Ollie McBurney says, "We had a big meeting and I remember his words exactly, that this isn't a dictatorship. He wanted to help us as much as we'd help him. He wanted to help you improve as much as a person as he did as a player. I've never really had that from any other manager. The club had just been relegated and a few big names had gone. It was a bit up in the air. He brought in a lot of players from the under-23s. He was really keen on developing players. If they earned the opportunity to play, he was more than happy to give them a try." McBurney was one of the biggest beneficiaries. After 3 years on the fringes, he was entrusted to lead the line for Swansea and enjoyed the best season of his career, scoring 24 goals in 44 games. "He's the best manager I've ever had on a personal level, by far. He cared so much about your well-being. Football's a results-based business and you're almost seen as a piece of meat sometimes. He went the extra mile to help me with things he didn't have to," recalls the Scottish striker. "He had a lot of trust in me. He gave me that opportunity and gave me the confidence throughout the whole season to just keep going. The way we played football definitely suited me as well." Potter restored Swansea's identity as a passing team, which had served them so well on their rise through the divisions. He encouraged his players to be brave and stick to the plan. He cared so much more about the performance than the results, said McBurney. I remember one game at Notts Forest. We lost 2-1, but we absolutely battered them. He was happier with that game than if we got a result and he hadn't played the way he wanted. His philosophy was that if you get the performance right, then more times than not the result will look after itself. It was a breath of fresh air. Potter's sole season in charge ended in a 10th place finish, 9 points shy of the playoffs. His side were entertaining to watch but hit their stride too late to challenge. Before they could build on that, the Premier League came calling. Everyone in that Swansea team thought he'd do well at Brighton, McBurney said. He plays football the right way, he has the right outlook on football and life, he's such a good person, and that means that the boys will play for him. They're great ingredients for a manager. Brighton had been in constant threat of relegation for the previous 2 seasons. When Potter replaced Chris Hughton in May 2019, he was tasked with pushing them up the table whilst introducing a more adventurous style of play. Dale Stephens said, I was impressed with how he saw the game and how he liked to play. He took over a team that was really good defensively but probably lacked a little bit going forward. He wasn't going to change everything within 2 weeks. He knew it was going to be a process, but from early on you could see where he wanted the team and the club to go. Throughout pre-season, Potter worked to implement a more fluid attacking system. On the opening day, everything came together at Vicarage Road, giving an early indication of what this revamped Brighton were capable of. We had all these new ideas and they're obviously going to be tested in the first game. Stephens recalled, we went to Watford and won 3-0. That breeds belief within the team that we're doing the right thing and we're on the right track. When Brighton's form dipped, the players never panicked. Potter's belief was unwavering and his preparation as thorough as ever. There was no stone left unturned, says the midfielder. From Monday morning, you knew your job clearly. He'd challenge you every week. You could be playing one system one week and then different the week after. He'd study a team with his backroom staff and we'd have a clear plan. He didn't leave anything to chance. We could still lose, but he had a logical idea and gave it everything in terms of regular video meetings and showing clips of what he wanted. Potter had enjoyed success with younger, more impressionable players in Ostersund and Swansea. Brighton had a more experienced squad, but they responded to his approach with enthusiasm. I was 30 years of age and was still learning a lot about the game, adds Stephens. He whetted my appetite for becoming a manager. I really enjoyed working with him. No matter who you'd play against, he had a plan. The Seagulls finished 15th and 16th with the same points tally in the past 2 seasons, but their performance always gave them belief that the results would improve. Now they have, and Brighton are flying high in 5th place and have just beaten Liverpool. Although Potter, 46, is thriving at Brighton, many believe he has the potential to go even further. Several of his former players see him as a future England manager. I wouldn't say anything's too big for him. I could see him taking over the England job one day. He can go all the way. The only thing is if people at the top level are willing to buy into him and his vision, said Bergqvist. At Swansea, we all said we could see him being England manager, agrees Bernie. We believe in him that much. I honestly think he could go as high and as far as he wants. I don't think there's much that can stop him.